the unknown mechanic back again, and as you can see from my test run, I've got another Stihl MS201TC M that shuts off when the anti-vibration mount in the front here is bottomed out, and the wiring harness is, it's another bad one. This channel is for the shop owner who maybe doesn't have technicians that are up to par, and they just start replacing a lot of expensive parts and wasting a lot of time and end up not fixing the problem. And also for the aspiring mechanic who wants to raise their level and can proceed with a job like this without wasting all day and putting expensive parts in the machine. And also the do-it-yourselfer homeowner who may get stuck and baffled on a machine like this. This belongs to Tate Buster Pudge, and this is the second one of his saws that I've had to replace the wiring harness. And what he likes to do with his workers, he likes to put a lot of pressure when he's cutting, and he's obviously cutting with a dull chain and bottoming out this forward mount, and there's very, very little room in here for the wiring harness, and you can kind of tell there's a worn lip on the edge of the bar rails, which means that there's a lot of pressure on the bar rails and cutting with a dull chain. This saw is about 4 years old, and I had this connected to the MDG1 and got some data out of it. And it's had about 8,000 starts, but only about 140 hours of runtime on it. The wiring harness is not totally severed. As you see my other video, that the wire was totally severed in there, and the saw wouldn't run at all. It would just fire and a few puffs of smoke, and it would want to start, but it just wouldn't run. So I'm already got the new wiring harness partially routed in here. This time I decided to start in the air box and work backwards from the air box going to the control unit. And you can see that get a flashlight here. There's a little channel for the wire routing, and I've gotten to that point, and the old wiring harness is still in there. So get you in for a close-up here. Yeah, it's hard to see. I'm going to do another close-up after this has been removed and replaced. But on his other saw, the handle molding was actually broken right here. There was a piece missing, and that allowed for the handle to go down further. Now this has obviously been bottomed out many times, and he just likes to run it bottomed out like that. And the wires were routed correctly in this one. There's just not quite enough room. You can actually see there's wear on the bottom of the handle molding from contacting the crankcase and the wiring harness. So definitely a problem here, right there. So he's going to have to be cautioned to, cut with a sharp chain and apply less pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and change this out, and then I'll turn the camera back on when I'm done. Okay, back again after reassembly, and did find a few other little items that I wanted to address. First, I noticed that this air filter gasket was missing, and that gasket seals against the back of the air filter, and if it's not there, dirt is allowed to bypass the air filter and go into the engine and prematurely wear out the engine. I also noticed that the control shaft, this part of the control shaft was broken, so I replaced the control shaft, and then I noticed the clutch was dragging, so I checked the clutch bearing and it was starting to melt. So replace that. Then I'm going to bring you in for a close-up so you can see the damage I found on the wiring harness. Okay, with the flashlight. Okay, and you can see that there's clearly all three wires, the insulation is compromised. Especially the two yellow ones. The red one in the center is harder to see, but the insulation is through to the bare wire. So it's not as bad as the other video that I was referring to. That chainsaw, the wires were completely severed, and that saw belonged to Rotten Crotch Tree Service. And I changed the wiring harness on that, and it ran just fine. This one runs fine now too. If one of my crappy mechanics, like Scratch, Sniffles, Dingus, or Gomer were working on this, they would have this missing seal and the broken control lever, that would have gone right over their head, and they wouldn't have addressed it. So you do have to pay attention to detail, to really be top-level mechanic. Now, for the homeowners and the do-it-yourselfers, you might be intimidated by working on an M-tronic saw, not having access to the MDG1 Stihl analyzer and the software, the diagnostic software. But you can still inspect these things, and if you see an obvious fault, like in the wiring harness, you just go right there, because this part is not that expensive, and you can try that first, and then if it doesn't work, you can take it into the dealer and have a pro work on it. So I hope you liked the video. Please leave some comments, subscribe to the channel. If you leave some comments, that'll help me, to know if I'm conveying the right information and being helpful. So I don't know what I'll be working on next, but stay tuned for the next one. It's the Unknown Mechanic signing off for today.